All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA, and thanks for tuning into the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So what I want to call today is look forward to the good things in life. And I really never got caught up in this, actually. A lot of times I'd actually look at things being kind of in the future, aggravating or having to, like kind of looking at things and saying, oh man, this is when I was younger. Oh, I got to get a house, or I got to get married, or I got to do this, I got to do that, like everybody else. That aggravated me. I got to go. Like a lot of people look at that and say, oh yeah, that's going to be a great adventure. I was like, don't bother me with that bullshit in my head. But then don't get me wrong. I mean, I was excited when I wanted to get married the first time because I wanted to have some kids and get a big house and all that stuff. But I'm talking kind of when I was younger, but I've always kind of I used to look at things and go, I'm not worried. Like, is it going to really be as fun as it is? Or is it just going to be another expense? Is it going to be another issue? Like even the whole process, like all these different things that had to happen for me to get that. So like, I always wanted a big home. So I'm thinking, well, how much money do I have to save on a downstroke? What is my credit rating got to be? Like, what do I got to do this? What do I got to do to do that? And I think a lot of people look at that. Even, I don't care what age they are. A lot of times they're just like at the point, like, is it worth it? Is anything really worth it? Like at the end of the day, is getting a bigger house compared to a smaller house worth it? Is getting an expensive sports car worth it compared to not? Is getting a great job, making more money? Yeah, that's kind of obvious. But a lot of other things. And what I learned from this one girl I know is all she really used to do is always get excited about looking to things in the future. And I used to be like, wow, you're kind of nuts with that. But I kind of did learn a lot of things from just by her talking to me about that. And as time went on and I got older, I think maybe because I'm middle-aged now, I really do now look at things as getting excited, but they're not huge things. They're short, small things. And I think that's what makes the difference. And I don't think a lot of people do that. It could be as like me getting excited that I know I'm going to get a good cup of coffee that day, or I'm going to probably get to the gym and get a good workout in. Or it could be like I'm going to do a new podcast and this is the concept. I'm excited to go talk about that. Or hey, I'm going to shoot a YouTube video because I'm traveling to, wherever I'm going, and I'm going to be at a place that maybe my favorite Italian restaurant's at. Or maybe I'm going to a place I've never been to before. And sometimes you can look at all these things and make them negative or positive. Like going to the gym, you can look at it and say, oh shit, I got to work out again today. Now, if you keep feeling like that, obviously working out at that gym or doing that type of workout isn't for you. You got to kind of switch it up. If you're exhausted from traveling for work, which I get tired, I'm not going to lie, but you need to, if you are traveling for work or you're doing something, you need to look at that instead of saying, oh my God, I got to get on a plane again. Man, someone's got to drop me off. Then I got to rent a rental car again. What's the weather going to be like when I get there? Then I got to drive there, then I got to do this, and then I got to check in a hotel, then I got to, whatever the case may be. But if you're not doing things you love or like, and then those things that in the future you keep doing aren't kind of inspiring you, then you really need to start figuring out things that you want to do. I mean, you really have to, and I don't think most people do. We kind of get in a routine or a rut. Or we financially strap ourselves in a position where we can't make any alterations, and I get that as well. I've been there, you become house poor, or car poor, whatever you want to call it. Your house payment's too much money. You have too many, your car payment's too high. You have too many kids. Your kids may be starting college, whatever the case may be. And I get a lot of people put themselves in those positions, or you're in that position. But again, looking forward, life, you got to understand the here and now. That's all it's really about. You only have here and now. You can walk out the door, obviously, and somebody hits you with a car and you're dead or you're paralyzed, right? Obviously, you know that. But the truth is, if you're not looking forward to certain things in your life, I think it really doesn't help your health or your mental state of mind. It's almost like you're making your life into misery, the future, instead of something that's adventurous. And I think life's all about experiences. The more money you have, a lot of people, I think what they're paying for is the experience. If you're a millionaire, and I've talked about this in my podcast, if you make money, it's because you want to buy a bigger home, hypothetically. You want to travel more. You want more expensive cars. You want to experience all these things. But a lot of times I think you don't need a ton of money to experience a lot of things that you want to do necessarily, right? I really do. A lot of people I talk about, they want to live near water, right? That doesn't mean it could be a lake or an ocean, but a lot of people I know that move to Florida, like, oh my God, I want to live on the ocean. Well, yeah, you most likely now have to be a millionaire. Unless you go to certain areas, you don't have to be a millionaire necessarily. That's kind of ridiculous I said that. But the areas a lot of times they want to move to are all very exclusive. So they'll leave a shitty suburb in Chicago and think they're going to all of a sudden move to, Palm Beach or Jupiter or Boca or Pompano or Lauderdale. I could go on and on and on. And I'm like, well, why can't you just, if you want to live on the beach, maybe go to Cocoa Beach or New Smyrna, hypothetically, or Daytona. I'm just using for an example. It's not as expensive. Well, those are shit areas. Well, they're not actually that bad. And you don't live in a good area in Illinois, and you want to live near the ocean. You want to fish. You want beautiful weather all year round. You kind of got to balance certain things out. And I'm just using that for an example. But you can figure a lot of things out in your life to start doing things that, again, you can look forward to. And again, I wouldn't, though, this is one thing that I think backfires too, is a lot of people do look forward to things, but they're too far out there, right? They're like 20, 30 years out. And I got a lot of friends, I talked about this, and I call them, being a prisoner of the moment. They're 50 and they're going to move to Florida when they're 75 or 80. I'm like, what are you talking about? When you're how old? Well, I'm not going to leave my job. And I get it if you don't want to leave your job. But all they do is complain about the weather. They complain about they feel like shit. They complain about Chicago being, they're just miserable there all the time. And some of them, I think, a lot of their jobs aren't that good. And a lot, I get you don't want to maybe leave your kids or your grandkids or whatever. But if you're going to wait to 75 or 85 years old, the average dude, I think, lives to 77 years old. Most men, I think. People think they're going to live to 100. Middle age is 35 to probably 40 years old. I don't know where this other bullshit came in where everybody thinks they're going to live to 100 years old. Maybe they think by 2000 and whatever, 20, 30 years from now, everybody's going to live to 100. I can't speak for all older people, but most people I know that are over 80 have a lot of physical issues, right? And I don't care how healthy they were in their past. I don't care how much they exercise or what they ate. After 80 years old, your body starts to break down. Anyways, again, back to when I was saying looking forward, to things every day. Start doing small things. And it could be like, it was very interesting because I was never going to do a podcast. I talked about it, and then my partner said, Rich, just do one. I'm like, how the hell? I don't have mics. I don't have this. You want me to start interviewing people? They're like, no, just talk shit for a while. Just talk your craziness. And 2 voice memos. And then we'll take it from there. And then we can upload it. I'll get a website and we do this. And I thought it would be a whole fiasco. But what's interesting is one of the things I like doing now are these podcasts. When I'm traveling, I come up with subjects. I just come up with one sentence. I may be listening to somebody else's podcast. I just may hear somebody say something to me, or somebody may just hit me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. And that's how I do it. But it's very interesting. That's given me kind of like some fun in my life. And then obviously now I'm shooting YouTube videos. Never wanted to do that. I never want to be in front of a camera again. Again, my partner said, Rich, just start traveling again. Just start shooting videos. See how you like them. It's been a lot of work, I'm not going to lie. Shooting the video, then editing the video, then posting the video, and then sharing the video. And getting a photo. It's a lot more time consuming, I must admit, than I thought. And even though I'm a filmmaker, I still didn't realize, and the thing in life a lot of times from a creative standpoint, whatever you think's going to go wrong, whatever you think can go wrong does go wrong. Things take always a lot longer than you think. And most people quit. And if you don't quit, then you're going to succeed. It's just going to take a lot longer. But that's why a lot of people don't succeed. But that's another thing I'm just using for an example. And because I think for the most part, I get to travel so much. So traveling, it's very interesting. People are like, you gather all these points probably traveling. I'm like, yeah, but I give them away. Why would I want to keep traveling? Well, you don't get to go to places you want to go to. Well, I've really been to everywhere I really wanted to go for the most part, for me, that I've ever wanted been to numerous times. I'm not somebody I don't need to go to India. I don't need to go to Japan or China. If I went, okay. But it's not like I don't feel inside of me that I have to go there. I'd rather just go Florida, San Diego, Italy, call it a day, Southern Italy. That's it. I think a lot of times we have all these insecurities and we're like, I need to do this in my life. I want to do this in my life. We got to do this. Do you really? Do you really want to do that? Do you need to do that? I think a lot of us, the adventure may sound fun, which it may be for you, I'm not saying, but a lot of times just things locally or even in your own country that you've probably wanted to do, just start there. Because it's just North America in itself is gorgeous. It's beautiful. Most people I know, like even from the Midwest, they've never even been to New York. I'm not saying they have to go to New York. Or say somebody from the Midwest, they've never been to Utah, they've never been to Denver, they've never been to Alaska, hypothetically, they've never been to all these places I've been to. I'm like, you don't need to, I'm not saying, if you want to go to Switzerland or you want to go ski in Europe, I get it, it's beautiful. If you want to go to France, I understand it. Believe me, I'm not dismissing that. But if you can't afford to do those things to a certain degree, you may be able to have a really good experience here and something to look forward to. But again, back to the short-term thing, and look at your family and your friends and your colleagues. A lot of times, I don't think we appreciate just meeting up with them, how valuable that is. And because I've been traveling for the last 10 years, when I come home, because I'm by myself so much, and like tomorrow, for instance, I got a wedding to go to, and I'm bringing my father. My girlfriend's out of town. And I'm really looking forward to that. I don't get to see my father that much. And before, years ago, I'd be like, oh, I got to listen to my dad. What's he going to talk about? I got to listen to him again, this and that. But now I specifically called him. He's excited. I'm excited. My friend who's getting married owns one of the top Italian restaurants, two of the top Italian restaurants in Orlando, Florida. It's going to be an amazing wedding. He's going to have it at Portofino, and then we're going to go to his restaurant. He's got an unbelievable restaurant. So, yeah. It's going to be great, and that's something that I've been looking forward to. And I get a lot of times, I think before maybe years ago, I'd be like, oh, another wedding. Oh, I got to go with family members. Oh, I got to see them guys again. Or I got to go through the mall. No, that's something that's like, what's more valuable than that, really, if I think about it? Like, I'm going to see some old friends. I'm going to have amazing Italian food. I'm going with my father, and I'm also going with some other friends. I'm getting to see old friends. I mean, that's priceless, right? I mean, what if I look back at my life, like, that's kind of what I want in my life to be. I don't necessarily have to do something massive. Like, that's just an amazing thing. If you think about it, I'm still alive at my age. A lot of my friends are still alive. My dad's still alive. My mother's still alive. Like when I go to Chicago, if I'm going to go visit my mom, I get excited. I think sometimes I took that for granted. Like, no, I want to go see my mom. I love seeing my mom now. Like, I think what happened with me is, and I think it happens with a lot of parents and kids, is I got older and I caught up to my parents, right? My parents were always my parents, but now it's almost like I think we understand our parents a lot of times because we were with them when they were younger, and now we're with them when we're older, hopefully, if your parents are alive. If they're not, I'm sorry. And that goes for aunts and uncles. I went to Arizona. I spent an extra day there because I wanted to see my Uncle Phil. He's been married to my Aunt Aggie for 65 years. So that's my grandmother, my mother's mother's sister. I loved her my whole life, and I was able to go visit him. He just got out of the hospital, and it was amazing. All his kids were there, which are obviously all my cousins. I walked in, and most of them all live in Phoenix, and I don't see them all the time. And some of them I haven't seen. I went in for Thanksgiving once a while ago, like a long while ago. I don't know, 6, 7 years ago it could have been. I just walked in and I started sweating and I almost teared up because I was like, oh my God, they're all together. Like, it's just amazing. I'm very fortunate when I do travel, I get to see those family members. And I was really looking forward because I had to work one night, and then the next day I could have flew to California, but I wanted to see them. And I hit them up and we sat at a table and we kind of caught up. And one of them was my godfather, who I very seldom ever see. I've only seen him probably twice in 20 years. So I was sitting next to my godfather. I was like, oh my God. I was so happy I took the time to do that. And again, that was a small something that when I was traveling, I'm like, I'm really looking forward to seeing my Aunt Aggie and my Uncle Phil. They've been married 65 years. I love them, and I love that family. And again, you may have a lot of these things that you may have not even realized. You may want to reach out to old friends, family members, and don't just depend on Facebook. Like, you're on Facebook, everybody's kind of, everybody sees what everybody's doing. But if you have an old friend or a family member that you haven't seen, reach out to them. Don't just wait sometimes for a funeral or a wake. Or a lot of friends you're just probably never going to see again, right? I'm not saying you got to put together huge reunions, but small little things to maybe go meet them, or just things in that nature is what I'm really trying to say. Because I really believe, in my opinion, the smallest things that I've ever, that I do, mean kind of the most. If my cousins text me a funny picture and they're thinking of me, I really love that. I was they're thinking about me, and I always try to send out stuff to my family members and all these different things. Like, hey, I saw this. I could pick it up at a store and send it to my cousin because or my buddies. A lot of their sons play baseball, and I'll be traveling and say I'm in Louisiana, and I'll pick up a bat or for one of my friends, or I picked this up for a friend's son, or my cousin. I picked this up for my mother or my girlfriend. whoever. It's like just thinking about them and picking that up is something that makes me feel really good. Now, that I'm not saying I do that because to pat myself on the back, but again, even when I'm doing things, I'm looking forward to things like that. Like I know I'm going to come across certain things, and I'm doing things to hopefully make others feel good, right? It's not just about us always feeling good, but try to help others feel good as well. Because, a lot of people don't get any presents or really get good news all the time. A lot of people are just always getting texts from, other people, and it could be work or emails, and it's always frustrating. It's not fun. Just try to have some fun as well. Really, in a nutshell, lead by example. Life didn't have to be all this so serious. Sometimes I think we over communicate, obviously, because we have text, we have email, we have Facebook Messenger, we have Snapchat, we have LinkedIn or Twitter, whatever. We could go on and on and on. But again, looking forward to small things is really what I'm trying to say. And those are just some examples that I do. And that's really about it. That's all I really want to say is definitely start looking forward to the future as far as just having a good time, right? I mean, and having the experience that you want to have. And again, if you don't have a ton of money, I get it. It doesn't always have to be about money. I'll bet you probably most of your fondest memories, probably some are vacations, but most of them are if you have kids, it's what your kids playing sports, or your kids did something very educational, or they won something, educated related, or they just got, they came home with a certain type of, what is the word I'm looking for here? How would I, report card, or, if you're older and you have a daughter or a son, they had a child, you're a grandparent, or just being a parent in general. All these things are kind of amazing if you think about it, right? So, all right, if you get a chance, you can also check me out on my YouTube channel. I'm on also Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, and I got a program out there, Mastering Self-Confidence. It's to help men find the women or woman of their dreams, even if they've been through a bad breakup and divorce. I kind of talk about it there. I also have a book called Wingman. I talk about this stuff in there. And so I'm going to wrap it up there. If you're traveling, safe travels.